Hey everyone, Fabio Fiorentino here with Planes of War. Let's get that shut off. With Planes of War, just doing a little bit of hobbying this evening, and figured I'd go live while doing it. So last time I was on, I was working on some bases. I had the fiber paste going, and I was able to, bump out probably about 15, almost 20 bases, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, probably about 15 bases. And yeah, so now we're at the next step. So I'm going to kind of show you my progression through it, and kind of show you how to, even when you think you're done a base, you can still always add something else, and yeah, just kind of adds and just always able to add additional dimensions to your bases. So before we get going here, oops, what's going on here? Sorry, before we get going here, I'm going to just do a little bit of housekeeping, as I've realized I have severely bent my needle, so that really sucks, but it should be alright for tonight because I'm just doing some basing. So, thankfully that's okay. Anyway, for those of you who aren't aware, and for those who are, as a matter of fact, 1201 February 1st, the Planes of War Highlander Regional Tournament will go live for registration, and also the second annual Planes of War GT will also be going live. So that's pretty crazy. I know both on the same day is nuts, but it's just, I wanted to get, well, pardon me, the group and I all decided that we wanted to get as much notice as possible, especially because the date has now changed for the Planes of War GT. We moved it up. We just think that the date will be better. So we'd at least like to try it out early, and you know what, if it doesn't, then we'll drop it back to August. So we're just gonna try and play with it. We're gonna switch it up a bit here, and see what happens. So, so what I'll be doing today. So I'm gonna peel back down here and go through this. Also got a new extension, so hopefully this can keep us rolling here. So what I am doing is this. So, sorry, I was just getting trying to get a few done for us. So the first thing, obviously, that I do is the fiber paste on my bases. So these are all for like my Ghost Arcs, my Annihilation barges, my Command barges, etc., etc. So with the fiber paste now dry, the second step that I'll be doing to all these lovely bases, I was hoping to get more done before we started, but had to fix the airbrush. Seems to be a common occurrence, right? Next is, simple shot of gray-black, just to darken them up. So here's a few here that are dark, so you really can't see any of the detail anymore, but that's alright, because that's the first step. Then from there, adding a few colors, and then my oozy color. This is kind of where I actually left my bases. So for a long time while I was first doing my Necrons, this is kind of what I felt was acceptable as a base. And it still is. Like, I mean, it's over 3 colors. You've got the minimum covered on this base, but I felt that I could do more to this base. So then from here, I went to this sort of base. So I'm going to move in here so you can kind of see. Let's see if this light. So now you can kind of see that this base has even more build up than this base in terms of colors. It's still got the green, it's still got the oozy color, but this is what I went to second. Then from there, I went to bases like this. So now they're a little lighter again, but I added a lot more green, a lot more of the ooze. So these were kind of the bases that were floating through my army, and obviously not consistent a little OCD, I think, like that. But these are kind of where my bases stood. So then started to think about ways to alter that to make these more uniform, but also look a little cleaner. So then from all that, I ended up doing stuff like this. So basically darkening them right up, adding, you know, a little bit of a dry brush buildup, so you can still kind of see some of the browns. I don't know if you can in the camera, but you've got still got the ooze, and then of course over top of the ooze now is the water effects to now just kind of add some more depth. So this is where most of my bases are getting to, still in the process, but this is kind of where they're at. And now the last step to these bases is adding the Notorious Necron gems, just to kind of make it, I guess, make the ooze make sense. If there's, you know, there's some puddles and it's sitting in, you know, with the Necron, I guess, rods, then you know, it starts to pollute them and turn them a different color, and that's kind of where my bases are going to be sitting for my Necrons now. So it's gonna, you know, I think it's a little simpler than the old style ones, but at the same time, I think they're a lot more effective. I think they just fill out the army a little better rather than just kind of be very out there, I guess. So yeah, so that's kind of my progression. So if you can kind of see this here, it's kind of stuff like this, the build up, blah, blah, blah. Actually, sorry, we have our bases like this. Then we slowly get to kind of this stage. And then lastly, we get to kind of final completion. So you can kind of see a little bit of transition. Obviously, there's a few colors in here that we add in, but yeah, that's kind of the natural progression of these Necron bases. So, without further ado, I'm going to get back to trying to get this airbrush cooperating with me for at least a little while. See if we can get a few more of these done, and then I'll start working on my... Thanks. Hey, Chris. Thank you. Yes, so I too agree. I think the newest ones, I think, do look the best. I think they're more, I think, just more effective overall. They're really nothing crazy, but they get the job done. And, you know, as much as the bases are important, I think, in an army, at least I've started to realize that, they shouldn't, I think, take away from the army's appearance. So when you tone something, again, like this, you know, even back down to this, where there's still almost just as much of the green, but the colors are toned down. I think just, again, the overall appearance is much better. So right now, all I'm doing is grab my airbrush, quickly getting some Vallejo gray black through it, and trying to base these. But yet again, my airbrush seems to not want to be working. Now, I did bend my needle. I have gunked it up a little bit, so I'm working with a bummed airbrush right now. So I'm just going to kind of, but like I've said, I'm just basing, so I'm just going to roll with it tonight. And probably have to bring it down to Artist Emporium and have them take a look at it. Probably going to need a new needle for sure. Yeah, this needle is like right messed up. So there's a little dent in the end of my needle, so I'm just trying to straighten it out enough to get paint running properly for tonight. And then like I said, bring it down to Artist Emporium and get it sorted out tomorrow or sometime before I do my next one. But anyway, So yeah, as I mentioned, the Plains of War Highlander Regional Tournament and the Plains of War Second Annual GT are both registration for both go live at 12:01. Actually tomorrow, February 1st. So that's pretty exciting. The guys and I have been working quite diligently on some stuff. I know there's no missions out. I know there's no what else? You know, there's no real firm schedule yet, but we're trying to work with a few things, so just bear with us. You know, there's a lot of time, so as long as you know the dates, it is 1850. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn again. So all those kind of things are already set in stone. As far as the Plains of War GT, the Highlander event is actually at a Legion this year. We just felt a different, you know, change of scenery. It's a nice location. The room is our own. You know, there's nice alcoholic beverages for everyone, and there's good food. So yeah, that'll be fun. Highlander's a sweet format, so we're gonna give that a go this year. So hopefully we get some good feedback, positive or negative. You know, we always want to think we benefit more off the negative feedback. So please, if you got any, don't be shy. We don't view it as you know, anything more than constructive criticism. So we do appreciate it. And also, I guess next week we have Reset on Tuesday. That is exciting. So be sure to either pre-arrange games or check in the Winnipeg War Council chat. There's always, in the events and stuff, there's always people looking for games. So definitely check that out. I still haven't gotten my battle report with Brendan up. Sorry, Brendan. But just other stuff has kind of gotten in the way. So what I'm actually doing right now is I'm trying to backflow my airbrush just to make sure that it's clear. I'm just scared to poke myself, so that's why this is a brutal process for me. There we go. So yeah, there's like, you can see all like this brutal spray and stuff, but again, doesn't matter. It's all going to be covered with other layers of paint. It's more just to get a foundation down. And the base should never take this long. It is my airbrush that is just causing me grief right now. So I'm kind of just plugging away, but anyway. So the reason you'll see me, hang on, sorry. Cool. Alright, let's get a bit more going. We're almost done. The light at the end of this tunnel is getting closer. If anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, or you know the regional tournament or the GT, you know, definitely feel free to ask some questions. I can't guarantee I'll be able to answer all of them, but at the very least, they'll be in the chat, and I'll make sure to get answers for you. We also have an FAQ for the Highlander floating around on the interweb on our website, so definitely check that out. And again, if you have questions and you don't think of them right now, you can always send them to the event page or private message any one of us, Scott, Wes, Kyle, or myself, and we will get answers. Oh, something is really not working right now. This is very interesting. Okay, so you know what? Screw this. Yeah, that is not working, so we're just gonna exit with that. So we've got enough done. Those ones will have to be done another time. I usually kind of upset about that, only because I like doing them in large batches, because they're bases and they're boring, but this will do. We will be able to work with these, so that is fine. Okay, so the first step is gotta get it. So it used to be Vermin Brown, but I found that was just too brown, I guess. So now I go to, oop, that's a technical, that is not what I need. I have versus Bait and Blade Brown, and then I go to a light dry brush of, not this one either, Shopti Bone, there we go. This is the one I need, Shopti. And then from there I do a wash, and then I start applying the green stuff. So, wait, yeah, Bait and Blade first. So I'm going to close this up because this has failed me. So, Shopti. So for this, it's nice, nothing crazy, so it's just a big old tank brush. Some other bits falling all over the place. So, and again, the nice thing is, it's a dry brush, but it's nothing crazy. So all you're doing is giving it a little bit of a tint, masking most of the base color. The nice thing about the fiber paste, I don't know if you guys can see, let's see if we can, is it leaves a lot of veins on your, so it just gives it, like, there's just so much texture to utilize, and you really have to do little to no work to achieve it. You know, I see some people take crazy steps in order to get their bases, and it's just, I mean, some look great, some I feel there's easier ways to get the same look. So I personally, if it looks good and it doesn't take a lot of time, that's up my alley. That is what I like. So I'm just gonna stack these up. Nice and simple. In order to dry brush, one must make sure there is paint on their brush. Okay. Okay, that's done. We're out. Oops. Okay. So that's layer one. Next. Next up is your Shopty bone. Ooh, that's not good. This might not be able to salvage this. No, we might be able to. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh. It's a little goopy, but we can probably work with it. $5 a pot, gotta make do. Just kidding. Ooh. So without pushing too hard, just kind of give it that second tone. Really simple stuff here. Nothing new, I'm sure, to most people. But if you didn't know how to, get a quick look how quick that is, the fiber paste in conjunction with dry brushing, you get layers upon layers of goodness. The idea on this second coat is not to get all the low spots, but really pick out the elevated veins. So I do that by angling the brush a little more so it doesn't quite pick up as many of the lower recesses. Some will get plucked out, and that's cool. As much as I'd like them all to be perfect, that's just not possible. Excuse me. So we just kind of let the good times roll. So again, for anybody that has just joined or is kind of jumping through the video later on, we got both our Planes of War RT and the Planes of War GT. Both their registrations are opening February 1st at 12:01 a.m. The RT is $10, and the early registration for the GT is only $60. So if everyone gets in at $60, we will need to get a lot of sponsors. But hey, that's cool. So we're just trying to give everyone a deal. You know, we obviously don't want to charge, you know, $80, but at the same time, when it's getting that close to crunch time, yeah, we're gonna have to charge you a little more. So I encourage everyone to get in on the early bird. If you're wondering when that is, please check the website. It's all information is there. Yeah. We got Reset next week, on Tuesday. So be sure to come check that out, get a game in. I know a lot of people are now looking for Highlander. There's a few people always looking for 1850. There's also, you know, new guys, old guys, young, small guys. You know, there's a bunch of people looking for games. So I definitely, if you're looking for a game, you want to brush up on your skills, to come check it out. I don't know what people are kind of saying about the event, but they're free. There's really nothing to them. We don't really dictate what people bring or what people play. We don't require any paint on models. You know, if they're primed would be ideal, but if you just built some models and you want to get them out on the table, hey, that's cool too. We just encourage getting out, meeting people, and gaming. So there's no, don't let anybody tell you different, because that's all it is. If you need help, if you have questions, there's guys there to help, but otherwise, anyone can play whatever they want. You can play ITC, you can play, you know, if you're with a buddy and you want to play your house rules, that's cool too. If you want to, you know, play ITC missions, that's cool. If you want to play book missions, that's cool too. If you want to play a scenario mission, that's also encouraged. We don't discriminate. We just want you to participate. Boom. Remember that one. Patent pending. Yeah. So these are where the bases are at. Really simple stuff. So now, in order to get to this stage, it will consist of a wash. Bum, bum, bum. Sorry, shaking the table a lot here, I know, while I clean this brush up. For big brushes, the best way to get paint off them, I find, is do little swirlies on a piece of paper towel. Really gets it nice and clean. Look, I think I actually got it cleaner than it was when I started. That's sweet. Okay, so next we're going to use Sepia, or Seraphim. I think. Yeah, Seraphim. It's been a while. So, all we're going to do with this, let's go to the ones at the bottom. Shitty thing about, actually, you know what? Shitty thing about these is it's not easy to get stuff out. but with a dropper, makes it nice and easy. So we're just gonna load it on here. Oops, please don't spray myself. We're in the clear, boys. We are in the clear for now. Okay, so next step is get some on the brush and lather it on. Now with the wash, literally just cover it. Nothing much to it. Oh, wifey. Uh-oh. Excuse me for a moment. Sorry about that. I locked my girlfriend out. She's got a key, but the deadbolt doesn't get open from the outside. Pro tip. Anyway, so back to this. So these bases are not looking the same, so I have mucked up something, but that's okay. That is okay. We're gonna roll with it. So the problem with not writing down your steps is you forget them. Excuse me. Dun dun dun. All right, that one's done. Boom. So what we're going to do, I don't know what we're going to do here actually. I have gone the wrong route with these bases, and that really frustrates me. But I think we can salvage these. So, I wonder if we can. How does this, just trying to compare how they look to the other ones that I like. I think I've gone with, yeah, I've definitely gone with the old style, and that is why this is looking this way. What's going on, Homer? Well, I'm in the process of getting a live chat going, so it's a little more vocal. And when I'm live streaming, music is kind of doesn't really work, and it's early in the evening still. I have to actually do some work for real work after, so I can't drink. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. But I just sometimes it's nice to just be nice and quiet. So in case you guys have missed, I have severely mucked up these bases. I am going through my old process, and I didn't quite catch on until I'm quite deep into this, which really is frustrating. But I'm going to try and salvage these. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so we're going to try and salvage these bases by hitting them with Dawnstone, and then a lighter dry brush of Administratum Gray. Watch is telling me to stand up. Joke's on him. Okay, so these ones are right off right now. They've been washed, so I can't actually go back and try and salvage them at the moment. So we're going to leave those there. So what we're going to try and do here is salvage these ones that are dry. So first, Dawnstone. For those who just joined, Highlander and Plains of War GT registration opens up at 12:01 a.m. So be sure to get those in. If you're looking on attending, either one, the Plains of War GT or the RT. Okay, so also Reset is coming up on next Tuesday. Okay, so let's see if we can rectify this mess I've made for my bases. This is not how I wanted to do this, but it's gonna be. Well, we might be able to salvage. We might be able to. Gotta have some faith. After all, they're just bases. They're just bases. Just keep telling yourself they're just bases. Okay, so this should probably work. Again, not ideal, but hey, when you mess up that bad, the fact I can salvage them out at all. See, Charles has joined us as well. Charles, how's it going? Okay, so last one with the Dawnstone. We're going to get to the last coat, and then we're going to get to the next step. Got the dog patrolling the door, good. Making sure that nobody bothers me. Love them. Okay, on to the next layer. It is quiet tonight. I thought there'd be a lot more people looking at a hobby or listen to something, but that's cool. I got work to do anyway. Anybody got any interesting projects on the table? I should be actually doing a lot of terrain right now, but I'm really good at procrastinating, so I'm going to leave the terrain for another week before I kind of get on that grind. But yeah. Yeah, Homer, I definitely can. I usually don't really see a need personally for something like that. There's good air circulation in this room I'm in with the 2 fans that are in here already, moving air. So everything dries fairly quick. Like you can see, I'm working on 3, 6, 7 bases, and by the time I get through the 7, I'm already back onto the first one and it's bone dry. You can kind of see like these are pasted full of the wash, and they're practically dry. There's a few crevices that have a little bit sitting, so yeah, if you're definitely in an area where you got a lot of air standing still, I would definitely obviously recommend, a fan. That'd definitely be a good idea, but for me, I'm finding that what I've got currently works, so if it's not broke, I'm not gonna fix it. Gonna shake the screen again. Sorry, gotta clean this brush off. Okay, let's put that brush away. So the next step. So actually, for this green stuff on these bases, what I do is I actually use nope, whoops, wrong one. No, this one. Almost gave you the wrong one. I use light livery green. Yeah, light livery green. It's a Vallejo Game Air color. And what I do is, let's get rid of this because I can't have it mixing with a wash. So I literally keep it as a... So what I found is this paint actually going through an airbrush does not work very well. So I have found an alternate use for it. So you just dab it on your brush and find a crevice you want to fill and just plop it down. And you don't brush it on, you kind of, no, this is not working. You kind of just fill the hole. So it's not, you don't kind of paint a line or do anything like that. You just plop it down and let the paint kind of just, because it's an airbrush paint, it's already watered down, and you just let it kind of sit in a gap. So you don't need to do a lot, but you just drop it on a few spots, and that's it. Man, Ward from Edmonton, how's it going? Met Ward at the LVO 2 years ago now? Or was it last year? Ward, I don't remember, gotta be honest. I think it was last year. Mike, what are you painting? More Guardians? Sorry, I just saw your comment on my other screen. It's nice because this stuff actually kind of bubbles a little bit. So when this dries, actually the bubbles still hold, which is kind of cool. Makes it look like I'm some pro at basing. Damn it, Mike. 30? Jesus. Well, if we ever have a game anytime soon, I expect to see 30 Dire Avengers on the table, okay? So yeah, just kind of finishing up this. We got one more. We're in the home stretch of these 7. Oh, running out of. So the whole idea here is, again, is not to actually paint a specific area, but just glob this paint down on the base. I mean, this could be done with really any paint if you water it down a little more, I suppose. But yeah, see, right now there's not enough here, so it's just absorbing into the brush, which is not what I want. Well, that's all right. We've got enough down, so that will work. Clean off that brush. Okay, let's put that away. So we now got a bunch of bases at different stages because the airbrush has failed. I have mucked up and went with the wrong paint scheme on my bases. Just everything's going right tonight. So that's done. Let's get rid of those. Let's not put those back on the shelf in the spot where the rights paints are supposed to go. Put that away. Okay, so what time is it? So for the last 15 minutes or so, I've got a couple bases here that are ready to put some, I guess, call it gems on, or Necron rods. So let's put this paint away. So what I do is I use all the sprue from the rods, X-Acto knife, and a pair of clippers. So first, gotta cut out however much I think I would like to use. So that should be enough. Move that stuff over. Not going to use this piece because it's got a whole bunch of numbers on it. I really don't feel like scraping off a whole row of numbers. So I'm going to pluck another piece. Alright, let's get rid of this because I'm not doing any more painting for the night. So all you've got is, you know, you've got piece of green rod. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to bust these in. Multiple pieces without them flying everywhere. Okay, so I've got what? Five. I've got five. Got 5 pieces here that I want to attach to this base. So first thing I'm going to do, kind of shave them up a bit. Don't want them to just be squares. Make sure the bottom is reasonably flat. That way they will attach. So that one is done. Let's go to the next one. There's no wrong way or right way to do this. It's just, you know, kind of doing whatever you feel is right, whatever works. Carefully with your fingers, obviously. So I assume some of you must have seen that PETA article about pelts with the space wolves. Still not sure if that's true or not, but regardless, that is some solid trolling if it isn't, and if it is, it's pathetic. But had a good chuckle at that today when I had that come across my desk while I was at work. Definitely made the afternoon go by a little quicker. I got to sit there and laugh at that. So anyway, so there's my 5 bits. So we're gonna put the knife away. Gonna put the clippers back in their spot. I'll get some glue out. I refuse to open the new glue until this one is dead. I am stubborn like that. So once this glue gets to the bottom, there we go, boom. So now with this, literally picking a spot on the base and applying the sprue. Really simple stuff here, but again, it's just about adding that extra dimension to the base. So yeah, you can kind of see. So on a flying base, you know, you just got a little bit of texture, got a little bit of a pop with the green, and you got the rods to give it a little more of that 3-dimensional look. Just overall aesthetically a little better. They are Necrons after all, so just makes sense at the. I think, in my opinion, it also just justifies my basing. You've got pools of green stuff everywhere on these bases, so. Just need to press that. The other nice thing is the water effects on these bases have kind of given me a solid surface to apply these pieces of sprue to. So that really helps, especially on a base that is so textured. But yeah, again, just gives it that little bit extra. Nothing crazy, nothing super fancy, just enough. But yeah, so that's it. So remember, so we went from this fiber paste to you get a little bit of a textured spray on with the airbrush. Unfortunately it died out, but do something like that. Then from there we apply our couple coats of various grays and Dawnstone, and then we apply the Vallejo Air color to just kind of fill out the base. The next step obviously to this is water effects, so we'll put water effects on those to get them to somewhat like this, and then yeah, using Necron sprue to give the little gems and the little added feature. And those are my flying, floating, hovering bases. Well guys, that's it for tonight. I've got lots of stuff to do, unfortunately, so I cannot continue. Hopefully I will be able to get back on soon and get another nice tutorial going, or a nice, you know, little conversation while I get some more hobbying done. Hopefully you'll be able to tune in while I'm getting my terrain ready for the next Planes of War event, so you guys can kind of see what kind of tables I've got going on. But yeah, until next time, thanks for joining in, and have a good evening. Oh, remember, Planes of War GT and the Highlander Regional Tournament, both open registration tonight or tomorrow morning, February 1st at 12:01 a.m. So if you want to get in on early bird, be sure to check the website, www.powgt.ca, or check the Facebook groups and the event pages. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Happy hobbying.